Welcome to Let's Talk About Health, an informational podcast that gives you insights on health and fitness from experts themselves that you can apply directly to your own personal health and fitness stories. Come join me today to hear all about what they have to say on health and fitness. Hello.
Hi there.
Now it's so much better.
Oh, good. I'm glad we figured it out.
Yeah. How are
I'm
you?
great. How are you?
I'm doing good. So let me welcome you. We're here. So we're here on Let's Talk About Health. So we'll be talking a lot about health. And I am so happy to have another fellow and so much more experienced physical therapist here to talk and who will understand my problems and I can cry.
It's a safe place here.
Yes, 100%. Well, welcome, Zach. It is lovely to have you here join me and just to talk about health, especially home health. That's been your area of expertise. So we'll be talking a lot about that. And I'm glad that you're here and you're okay talking and teaching people about how to go approach things, especially people like me. And there's so many out there who are clueless about how to just start. Like I was telling you before, I don't know what's the next step, how to approach a few things. So it's so important to have mentors like you out there with quality material who is so willing to share all of it with everyone. So thank you so much for being here with me today.
Absolutely. Thank you for the kind words.
Yeah. So tell me, what do you think about health and fitness?
So when I think about health, of course, there's all the normal things people think about. We go to our doctor, we look at our vitals, we get our cholesterol checked. These are kind of like the things I think a lot of people think about health. When I think of health, obviously as a physical therapist, my mind goes to function. So being functional, having the ability to do the movements and the exercises and the activity that you want throughout the entirety of your life is really how I think about health. So you may have good cholesterol, you may have good blood pressure and be 80 years old. If you can't get off the couch, that's not healthy to me. So that's kind of where I think about health.
That was a completely different physical therapy definition of health I have never heard. And I agree with you 100% because even if you're mentally, physically fit, if you're not functional, then what's the point?
It's exactly how I feel.
Yeah. Tell me more about home health and how did you start your home health company and education?
So for home health, I worked in a busy outpatient practice, and it was a great practice, great surgeons, everyone there I liked, but it was the classic outpatient office where I was seeing up to 20 patients a day.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I wouldn't say I was getting burnt out, but I wanted to be compensated in the way that I thought was fair. And in my opinion, the outpatient model just doesn't have room for that. And it's not the employers often, it's just the reimbursement. And if you look at the way trends are going, insurance just doesn't pay a lot in that setting.
Mm-hmm.
So the therapists are somewhat forced to see 20 patients if that practice wants to keep the lights on, was my experience.
Right.
So I was looking to get into something. I've always kind of been entrepreneurial. I've always wanted to start my own practice. My dad is a PT, and so I grew up in this world, and I've always kind of wanted to go this way. And so when I was in that outpatient world and I wanted to start my own business, I said, going to an outpatient practice, starting my own outpatient practice, there's a lot of overhead, there's a lot of risk. I need to get equipment, I need to get tables.
Correct.
What would be easier would be, and much leaner, would be to try home health. So
that is smart.
So I took one patient,
Right.
I'll never forget him, lived here in West LA, and Took one patient, put in my 2 weeks, and started home health full time. So started home health as a single practitioner. Then I started my home health therapy company. You know, we have hundreds of therapists throughout Southern California now. And now I'm starting the educational component where I want to teach physical therapists, occupational therapists, and assistants how to be successful in home health, because there wasn't a lot of education when I was getting into it. And I still don't find that there's a lot of education around it.
Yes. There we have people educating about PT, but what's next? What about the business aspect? I have not met anyone who is a physical therapist themselves and willing to teach you how to start your own practice, or how to get into home health, or how to go about approaching the business aspect. And I can see that you have a very business mindset, and I'm so glad that you're a PT first. That makes you enhance your business in so many ways, and you can like you said, you started with just one patient and now you have like 100 employees just working for you. So that's awesome, and congratulations.
Thank you.
i
Thank you.
I really appreciate people like you, who are physical therapists and who are in the business aspect, because I come from a business family myself. My dad is a business, like he's a businessman. My brother is now into business. My mom was doing business for some time. So I always wanted, I still
Was going to
want, I
say
keep
you're
telling,
next very clearly.
I keep telling the CEO of our company, I keep telling her, I'm going to start my own practice someday very soon. She's like, I'm preparing you for it, so don't worry. So
That's
I'm
great.
glad. But tell me more about the home health education aspect. How do you teach? What are the programs? I mean, I'm very interested to know that part.
Yeah, sure. So this new company I'm starting is called Home Health Leaders, and the goal is to teach therapists how to be successful in home health so they can make more money and have more time. Because what often therapists do is they're able to make a lot of money, but if they're still working in that office, seeing a ton of patients,
Yes.
you don't have the time to enjoy it. So
Right.
the goal is really to have both. So what I'm doing now is I'm starting a program. It's called the Home Health Accelerator, with basically three pillars. So it's a course that teaches therapists how to be successful in home health.
Right.
It's coaching 2 hours a month with me, where when they get stuck, we get them unstuck really quickly. And then a community of other people throughout the country who want to be successful in home health, who want to be home health leaders of their own. So that's basically the program that I'm starting.
So is it just local for people in California, or both the programs are for anyone throughout
Across
the country?
across the country, and what we're going to teach is not anything specific to California or to a certain city. You know, we're teaching home health rules and regulations. We're teaching contracting strategy, and we're teaching how to get a lot of referrals and have an abundant referral faucet, essentially. So these are things that work all throughout the country. It doesn't matter where you are.
That That's awesome. Remind me, I have to, like, I'll get all the information from you for sure after the session. And I'm going
Absolutely.
to send it to all of my friends, because I have friends in India. And I also have a few friends over here who are into home health, or like I told you, I got to know a few things from my friends over here. They would be more than happy to learn more about. And since it's not specific to a single state, it's so
Mm-hmm.
much more what do you say, valuable for any therapist.
Mm-hmm. And and what we spoke about before we started, where you said you had done some home health and we're seeing a
Right.
lot of patients for certain months and it was great, and then certain months got really slow.
Right.
That's a common thing. In fact, I'm doing strategy calls with therapists interested in the program, and every single one of them has had that problem. So
Right.
that's not a unique thing that you had difficulty with. It's a problem that a lot of therapists doing home health are dealing with. So having strategies so that you don't have that scarcity problem of referrals, it's a huge thing.
Mhm. Yes. Well, What do you think about the healthcare like system over here, based on referrals and based on insurances? How they, I wouldn't say they stop the growth of the patient, but they do.
You said they stop the growth of the patient?
Yeah, like the growth, as in they're doing well, they're in rehab. I'm seeing the patient for a few weeks now, and then all of a sudden the visits are done, and no one is ready to give them more visits, or I have to justify more and more about why the patient needs more visits, in spite of him being, you know, with a stick or walking around with crutches. So, what do you think about that?
I think it's a huge problem. And I don't know that there's an easy solution. I'm sure that there's not an easy solution, even if people were willing to do it, is the truth.
Mm,
Like in the home health world, we see that patients are often limited on the number of visits they get. And there's like two main factors. So the first is, you know, grossly speaking, how bad off are they, right? What's their acuity? How disabled are they compared to before? So that's like number one. And that one makes sense. More disabled, more
yeah,
injured, more sick, should get more visits. The second part of that is their insurance. So,
right. Yes.
like Medicare patients, maybe we're able to see them for multiple certification periods, meaning more than 60 days. When I see insurance patients, specific insurances especially, we often get eval authorized, request for additional visits, or maybe 3 visits authorized, request for additional visits. And sometimes we don't get any additional visits. And when you're talking about a homebound patient, and our patients in my company are 98% referred from a hospital.
Right.
So institutional versus community referral means they're more disabled and they're only getting 1 to 3 visits. They're
Definitely.
not going to get where they need to get if that's it. And that's a huge problem.
So, how do you like just because I'm doing a lot of insurances and I'm dealing with a lot. How do you deal with, like, do you appeal to the insurance? Do you go talk to the doctor, the hospital? How do you approach that thing?
So the model that our company has done, which I think is great, really, really amazing for anyone who's trying to do a company like ours or be a home health therapist, is we do not mess with insurance personally. We do not bill insurance. I do not bill Medicare. I do not bill any insurance. We contract with other businesses, home health agencies, and they mess with all the billing with Medicare and insurance.
God.
And everybody knows that's a huge headache you don't want to deal with, right? And you're dealing with it at the outpatient office. You're talking about billing,
Mm-hmm.
you're talking about document. It's tough. It's a tough thing to do. So we've removed that aspect from our responsibility. That being said, we're still responsible to try to get our patients authorized. So what it really comes down to then is showing medical necessity, showing
Mm-hmm.
skilled intervention, and showing that we're likely going to improve this patient to get them to that goal, whether it's back to their previous level of function or hopefully able to leave the home and go to an outpatient office, which is like really our goal in home health. It's really a transition from the hospital or the home ultimately to an outpatient is like the real goal.
Right. So it's like a third party.
I wouldn't say, oh, our
Yeah.
company, somewhat like a third party, yeah. So what we do is basically we work with a ton of home health agencies, businesses throughout Southern California.
Yeah.
And that way we can get a lot of referrals to keep our therapist close to home. So when you're talking about your experience where you had some months you were really busy and then you had a month where you were super slow,
Right.
that's because I'm guessing, I don't know, you were probably working with like one home health agency, is that right?
Yes.
And what happens when that agency is slow? You are slow.
Mm-hmm.
Versus us, we work with over 300 agencies. So if one agency is slow, the other one's not slow. They're not all slow at the same time because agencies are busy at sometimes and they're slow at sometimes. The biggest agencies have good months and they have bad months. So if you're not diversified, if you don't have a lot of referral sources, you're going to be slow some months. So that's what our company does. It does the hard work of the diversification of getting 300 agencies so that
Right.
our therapists have a lot of referral sources and don't run into that situation that you were running into. And everyone doing home health working for one agency, a lot of people are running into that.
Do you think home health has more uh, beneficial effects than the outpatient setting?
It's different. So for some people, it can change their life more because they're homebound, right? So like
Right.
being able to function in of your house and get out of your house can be a tremendous impact on someone's life, right? If they're unable to leave the house and now you graduate them and they can leave the house, they have a whole new life. That being said, I worked in an outpatient practice where I was seeing post-surgical patients, and I mean, the impact you have from, you know, right after the surgery to your discharge is tremendous, and those people are getting back to what they love. So I think it's super important in all settings, and I think we're all doing great work to help our patients, which is ultimately the most important thing. I think the end goal of outpatient is just a different functional end goal than home health.
Yeah, I can see because it's more like outpatient. You'll have athletic people too. I have so
Totally.
many people that have had injuries at the gym, but you won't. I have not seen any such case for home health. Or would you say post surgery also you need home rehab? Do you also do that?
Oh,
Like after
say
um
that again.
like post surgery rehab at home,
Hmm.
like after knee injury or um ACL repair, knee transplant, just a lot of those things where they're not geriatrics.
What we'll see a lot as far as post-op is post-op hips, post-op total knees. That's what we see post-op often. And some of that is who our referral sources are. So like I said, we're contracted with the big agencies with the hospital contracts. So we're seeing those cases. In my experience, most like ACL, meniscus surgery, these are going to the outpatient practices. These patients are more mobile, maybe with crutches, but they're able to get to that outpatient office.
Makes sense.
And that's I see typically where those physicians will want to send their patients to.
Right. What about cardiac rehab?
Yep, rehab for patients out here. Often there will be after they're discharged from the hospital, there will be a cardio rehab facility that
Right.
they'll go to.
Yes.
Then they'll go to home health if they still need help, of course. But we'll do cardio rehab as well.
Okay.
That's
So
that's
it's
one of the great things about home health is just the diversity is
yeah.
crazy. I mean, you see so many different things.
I did not get to practice cardio
Hmm.
or a lot of natal, prenatal. Uh, I like to have diversity because I like a good challenge, and it also enhances your skills in
Totally.
that case. So, but there are not a lot of yeah, diversity wise. I will give you that. Home health is it.
The first uh, probably beyond the year, probably the first 2 years or something, like almost every day I'm reading that H&P before I go to that patient's house. I'm saying, oh
Yeah.
my God, what is what is this diagnosis, or what is this strange surgery I haven't heard of before? And luckily, like our company required they send the H&P. So, I'm going to be able to see what was going on in the hospital. Some of them will have that surgical report. I can actually read from the surgeon or their transcription, at least, what happened. So it's a huge learning experience. And like, you are pushed, which I think is a good thing, where like, oh, I don't know this diagnosis. I need to take it on myself to figure out, the appropriate treatment. And the truth is, for most cases, in my opinion, if you lead with function, the diagnosis is not quite as important. And, there are exceptions with neuro patients especially, but for orthopedic problems and, general disability, mobility issues that our geriatric patients are having, if you lead with functional limitations, I think that guides your treatment, even if the diagnosis is not something you're super familiar with or haven't seen that much.
Right. Makes sense. 100%. What do you think about telehealth? I know for the bedbound or homebound patients, that's very difficult. But in general, telehealth is coming up. We ourselves at Outpatient, I'm starting a few telehealth sessions with a few.
Very cool.
So what do you think about telehealth in home health therapy?
There's definitely a place for telehealth.
Okay.
When COVID started, we actually got on a really cool telehealth platform because I wanted to have it as an option to help
Right.
people.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was really cool. Like you could have them be in front of the camera and you could say like, raise your arm and do shoulder flexion. And they had like AI that would be a goniometer and it would measure it. So you have objective measurements.
Yeah.
It was really cool. They had thousands of exercises. You could literally say, I want you to do this exercise. You press play and they had a professionally recorded version of the exercise with cues. I mean, it was really cool.
Right.
For home health, for most of our patients, especially where we are in the world right now, as far as where our geriatric patients are in terms of tech, I don't know that we're quite there. Like maybe we're one generation away from that, where like my mom could do telehealth for sure, but my grandma would have had a lot of trouble. So,
Right.
You're going to have the camera in the right place. You're going to have to download the app. There's just things that are difficult for some of the older population. Not everyone. My wife's grandma is on Facebook and emailing her every day and FaceTiming her. So some people are with it, but the majority of at least the patients that I saw, I think might have struggled a little bit with it. But there's definitely a place for it in therapy world, I think, and it may be in the home health world in the future.
I don't think I can do it.
And
I come from the grandma generation for sure.
well, you and I were talking about this I said, all right, so you're going to go live and then how do I get on here? So you know where I stand in this whole thing.
We're in the same grandpa generation.
Oh,
For
that's
sure.
funny.
Tell me more about like you were explaining the programs, the different programs in your home health education. Can you elaborate a little bit more about it?
Yeah, of course. So basically, like I was saying, it's three pillars. Now, the course program, this is really for everyone, like people that are completely new to home health and they don't know the rules and regulations. So that's like one portion of it. So closing what I call is the home health education gap.
Right.
And I call it that because I see as PTs and OTs graduate from their universities, they don't typically get any experience in home health.
Yeah.
So it's pretty rare to get like a clinical internship in home health. And if you don't have that, you don't know the rules and regulations. How many days between reassessments? How many days before I need to do recertification OASIS? You just don't know these things. So one thing is we close the home health education gap by teaching all the rules and regulations, the visit types. We go over documentation. The other part we do is we call the scarcity mindset, which is the problem you had, right? Where you had not enough referrals.
Mm-hmm.
So this is about getting like an abundant referral flow. So we get our therapists a ton of patients. We talk about pricing strategy to get them the most per visit, right? To get the highest visit rate. And then we go into contracting uncertainty. We see there's a ton of problems around that. I'm going to be an independent contractor. I'm going to be an employee. How do I set up a company? So we talk about contracting. We talk about the employee path, the independent contractor path. We just make sure people feel really comfortable with contracting and reading contracts essentially, so that when they finish this course, they're really well rounded. And even if they haven't practiced as a home health therapist yet, now when they go and they make that contract with an agency, they say, look how valuable I am. I know all the rules and regulations.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need to waste your time, resources, and people teaching me. I'm ready to go. I'm not going to have documentation problems. I'm not going to have errors. I'm not going to mess up. Look how valuable I am. I should be paid higher. So that's kind of the course portion of it. The community, like I said earlier, is all the people in the program from all across the country being able to reach out, ask each other questions, motivate each other, be accountable, post wins. And then the third part, which I haven't seen anyone doing this, is coaching. So 2 hours a month, essentially getting on a Zoom call with everyone in the program. And where are you stuck? Let's get you unstuck super
Mm-hmm.
fast. I've probably seen nearly every problem that anyone starting up will go to. And it took
Right.
me over a decade to get here. Why not tell you exactly what to do in that situation so you don't have to wait 10 plus years to get there?
Yeah. I like it because you don't have, if you can avoid those mistakes, then why not? And instead of you learn it, I know everyone is going to have their own journey and everyone is going to have their own learning experience, but you always need a good mentor, a good teacher who will guide
Yes.
you.
Yes.
And yeah, I have not seen, like I told you before, I have not seen anyone in the US. I've never come across anyone who is willing to do that part and just teach, just have students say, hey, you suck at this, and let's unsuck. I love it. I'm gonna use that.
And I've talked about even like sales skills. I had to read 10 books. I have a business coach at the time who was very good at sales teaching me sales because I sucked at it. When I started, I sucked. Everyone will suck in the beginning.
Yeah.
And if you quit at that point, you will always suck. But if you keep doing it, you will suck less and you will suck less until you don't suck anymore. So there's a persistence piece of that that's super important, the not quitting part of that. And having that community that's going through it with you is
Mm-hmm.
really helpful for not having you quit when times get hard. Because look, when you start a company or when you start a new field or anything, there's going to be hard times. Like, let's just be honest, that's how it is. So having that community of other people going through it and that have been there is really helpful for getting you out and getting you through those times.
Right. This Will this program also help with people who are willing to start their own practice, or is it just limited to home health?
So when you say practice, do you mean like a home health therapy company or an outpatient practice?
Both.
So outpatient is a bit of a different game. So it's not really training for that. When we go over home health rules and regulations, they're different than the outpatient world.
Right.
So it's not going to be probably the program for someone starting that. If you're trying to start a home health therapy company, I'm your guy. And I really mean that because that's exactly what I have done. And that's exactly what I want to help people do. So the program is to get you started in home health and to start talking about the like ending module is the intro to strategy if you wanted to start your own company. So we're going to start you go in that direction. And then I also want to help people that want to start a company. That's like the big goal that I want to do with people
Yeah.
because I think it's really exciting. And I think there are a lot of levers to pull that are incredibly important when you go to that level, when you're starting a company, a home health therapy company. I mean, these levers you can pull can just change the whole game. I didn't have a business coach until maybe 7 years or so, maybe 8 years into this business. And like the impact that he had with me in a very short time was, I mean, it was incredible. It's probably what has made me want to do this, if I'm being honest, because I saw the impact he had for me, and I want to help people have that kind of impact. I mean, it was crazy, right? And like with him, we like to talk about the whole thing is a machine, right? And just turning this knob has this impact, turning this knob has this different impact. And if you know which knobs to turn and which ways to turn them, you can have huge impact in a little time. And that's what I want to help people with.
Right. I I don't know about others. I'm not, I mean, I usually like to represent, but today, speaking for myself, you have had a huge impact on me.
Wow.
And you
Well,
got
thank
me
you.
so excited because, like I said, I come from a background, like, there's business right now in my blood. Like, if I show you, if I cut and show you, they'll be like, business. That's how well my family is known in India for business. So I always keep telling them, I want to do something in business, but I never took MBA and I don't have a lot of background about business. So it's different, especially in United States where the rules are different. Like, I don't know which lever to pull, like you said. It's like zero, and it'll be so amazing to have someone guide me or guide anyone for that matter who wants to just start their own practice. And I love your goal. I love the big picture because that's that's it. Everyone wants to have their own practice.
Mm-hmm.
Not every block has a PT place. Every block. I'm like, how many people are there?
There's a lot of people out there.
There is. So I was like, okay, maybe someday, my friends want to start a practice. I myself want to do something in that. So it'll be awesome to have someone who will speak business and who will tell me, okay, taxes, because come on, it's US.
Yep.
We always talk about taxes.
And well, let's be honest, when it comes to taxes, if you start a company or if you make a lot of money, that's your biggest expense.
Yes. Yes.
So to set up your company structure, right, that is going to save you on taxes, right? Or
Yeah.
to file a certain way is one of these small levers, right? Oh, I need to click this button or this one while I set up the company. Oops, I clicked the wrong one and now my tax expense is, completely different situation. That's an important lever to pull correctly, right?
Definitely.
So that's what I want to help. Even something like setting up a company, I know to somebody who hasn't done it before,
Yeah.
it's overwhelming to think of. Well, I don't know where the resources are. I don't know where to go. So like me, I remember when I started California Therapy Services, my home health therapy company, I remember filling out the paperwork and like getting stuff returned to me. I didn't file it correctly. And oh my God, what a headache. And being concerned, legitimately concerned. Am I ever going to get this thing approved? Versus when I filed my new company, Home Health Leaders, I did it in, I'm not joking, 10 minutes.
Oh
And
my God.
I got the approval actually yesterday. So, all right. So now we're official. I got the approval yesterday. But like, seriously, 10 minutes to file. I'm setting up the bank account this Friday. I just know what to do now.
Yeah.
So like the step-by-step process is very easy and very fast. And that's one of the things I want to teach in this program because I've been there in the beginning, not knowing where to go, not knowing, oh, I have to take these paperworks to the bank or they're not going to open up an account for me. I know that can be overwhelming. So I'm going to really simplify all these things and help people out with that.
Is it too, I don't know how to say, I have a year and a half, almost 2 years of experience. Is it too early to sign up for it?
For the program?
Yeah.
No, absolutely not. The program is for literally everyone. So it's for people that are just graduating, less experienced than you.
Mm-hmm.
It's for people with experience like doing home health for a long time, but they're in that situation you were in. I'm having slow months. Why am I not getting enough patients?
Right.
Or I don't know how to document efficiently. I'm spending too much time at home after work documenting. You shouldn't be doing that. So it's really for everyone. And I think, home health is one, and part of it is that home health education gap I brought up, where a lot of times therapists say, I need to go work at an outpatient office for 2 years to get experience before. You hear that all the time, right?
Yes.
But the reason they don't feel comfortable to go straight into home health is because they were never taught home health. They never had the clinical internship. Didn't have a class that told them the rules and regulations. If they just had that piece, which is what I'm teaching, there's no reason they need to do 2 years in outpatient unless that's what they truly want to do. But I posted a video on Instagram earlier where a lady's talking about her salary working in outpatient. She says she spends 6 hours after work in outpatient, 46 hours a week, and her per hour compensation was like $33. And that's fine. I mean, but if you want to go into home health or if you want to make a lot of money, there's no reason to delay 2 years or 5 years or 10 years or whatever crazy amount you want until you feel ready, right? Because we can get you there right away and you're going to just make a lot more money and have the flexibility and schedule that you just can't get in outpatient.
Yeah. Trust me, that's the rate that's going on even here in New York.
Mm-hmm.
And it's sad because New York is one of the most expensive. And talking about California, no less, the taxes, the expenses, the rent, it's
crazy.
Too much. And it's sad because no one knows what skill sets. Everyone wants to do the hands-on certifications and other things, and no one asks.
Mm-hmm.
I have had no one ask in my interview how much hands-on certifications I have or what. I'm a CLT, I'm a lymphatic therapist, I'm a kinesiotaping practitioner. So no one is like, they're like, no, we don't care. We just want to know how many years of experience you have.
Yep.
So it's sad to see that part. And you teaching and training just skips those 1 month, 30 days or 60 days of training that any therapist has to go through to get into home health.
You mentioned the kinesiotaping. I took, I think, a 3-day course on kinesiotaping. I learned a ton. It truly, when I was working at the outpatient office, it truly helps my patients. I found a lot of benefit for that, but I wasn't compensated more because I learned that, right? Not a penny more was I compensated because I learned that. And even if in that setting you said, I got this certification, look, this is, I don't want to say it's the worst, but look at the therapists that are going and getting their OCS. God bless them. They're the best in orthopedics. They are the best therapists in orthopedics, educationally wise, trained wise. You know, there's other people that don't have the training that may be better, but educationally wise, they are the best, right? The gold standard. And how much more are they paid when they do that job? Not much. Not what a year of grinding is. Not what a year of the expenses are. And it shouldn't be that way. It's not fair. But we know life isn't fair, right? And the truth is that education, it's sad, does not pay. And it's not all about money, right? And those people can provide excellent treatment, and it's amazing that they do that. But for the therapists that want to make more money and want to have flexibility and time, that route doesn't get you there. And it's sad that it doesn't. It should, but it doesn't. So I'm trying to teach a route that is going to get a therapist the life that they want to have. So it's just a different kind of certification, and people have to decide, you know, which route is more important to them.
This is more practical.
Yes.
Like, no one teaches you in school how to change the light bulb or
exactly
how to do the things around the house, how to fix your toilet when it's broken. But you have to learn it because the plumber is going to come and ask you, what, $200-$300? So you have to teach yourself. So,
and isn't that a lesson, what you just said? Isn't that crazy that the plumber is charging more an hour than the doctor of physical therapy?
Don't even get me started there.
It's true. And it hurts. It hurts. That's a problem.
Like you said, the OCS, it doesn't matter what's behind your name as long as you don't have dash many years of experience. That's all that matters. And I, I have come across that, but I was like, I need to start somewhere. You need to give me experience for
Mm-hmm.
me to have experience.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm glad that, the people that I'm working for right now, the CEO, she came, she spoke to me, and she just saw something in me, and she keeps saying that, I saw the spark in you, and I knew I didn't care about the years of experience. You were good with the patients. I was actually just covering for them too. But yeah, luckily, and I love the setup because the patients are so sweet. And the CEO came, and she's a head physical therapist over there, and she came in and she introduced herself. She told me thank you for covering, and she was very humble and kind.
Mm-hmm.
And so she asked me about. She saw me how I was treating my patients, how I was talking to them, and she was very
Mm-hmm.
impressed. So she told me, "Okay, let's just have you on team." So I was like, "Okay."
Well,
you
that's
you
awesome.
notified me, yeah. So it was just I was lucky that I was covering over there. Otherwise, I would not have landed that job. But I was also covering for home health, and that also excited me. It still does. Again, like you said, if we have solutions to our problems, and if there's someone to tell me, okay, you're not this is where you suck, and this is how you're going to approach it in a better, efficient, educated way, then it'll be so much better for our community. And
Absolutely.
we need that. I truly feel you should start a program for India. I'll get you PTs. No,
All right, let's do it.
yeah, because I was actually doing home health over there as well. I had all neuro patients, but I didn't have any. I did not have any ortho cases. But the amount of impact that it's different over there because you don't have to deal with insurances. It's good. You don't have to deal with a lot of things, but again, not everyone knows how to start
Mm-hmm.
that business.
Mm-hmm.
And
What is the payment model there? Is there's no insurance? Are people just paying out of pocket, or is there? Yeah,
yes,
and that's a
but
huge thing now too, even in America, of course.
yeah. We do have patients in our OPD paying out of pocket. Yeah, because the insurances won't support. So we sometimes have patients just paying for just the e-stim, or just for a certain exercise, just for certain what do you say, services that we're providing them. So we kind of play around the system.
Mm-hmm. And that's what I was going to say. What a system we have where, like, if a patient is a Medicare patient,
Yeah.
you are not allowed to accept cash. You're not allowed to bill a Medicare patient
Yeah.
cash rates. I mean, that's insane in my opinion. If they're not going to get the visits, and they, because like in the home health world, often the agency will just say, we're discharging the patient, or what's better, patient's no longer homebound because we did our job, right? But they
Yeah.
still want therapy. If they're not homebound, we are mandated, we must discharge them. And they say, hey, it's me, your patient. I would like to continue seeing you because I had such great benefit. Can I pay you?
Right.
And we have to say, no, I
Yeah.
cannot take your money. I cannot continue to help you. You have been discharged from your Medicare services. Be on your way. And I mean, that's kind of how it is. And I know there's wellness and I know there are workarounds, but the system doesn't want that, is the
Right.
truth.
uh I did not know this point for home health, but I do know if there's a Medicare, any other insurance, secondary insurance is not even looked at. It's just overruled by Medicare. So we have to follow the Medicare rules that are very different from the other commercial insurances. And yes, once it's difficult to get those patients to continue therapy just because they walked one block with hand holding you does not mean they're independent.
Right, right. And nowhere does it say how far they may walk and be deemed homebound, but If we look between auditors' lines, it seems to be 150 feet safely. But 150 feet safely, right, is not community ambulatory. Like,
Yeah.
you're not able to get food for yourself if you can walk only 150, if you can walk 151 feet safely, you're not able to go to that restaurant, get food and come home, or go to the grocery. I mean, it's crazy, but those are the rules that we have, and we have to play by the rules.
Yeah, none of those patients can go. Groceries is the most basic.
Mm-hmm.
That's and we just, and they're doing, well, I do ambulation with my patients, but they're still on the walker,
Mm-hmm.
or they're still holding me, and that's how even I am comfortable. By the time I'm comfortable to just let go of some support, I don't have any more visits.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not allowed to see the patient. And
Yet,
yeah.
yet, from what you're saying, they still have an assistive device. Is that correct?
Yes.
So they.
Yes, definitely. At home, they still have the walker, they still have the crutches, but with the therapist, when they're doing ambulation, they will be without any device.
Mm-hmm.
But when there's no therapist, they still have to use it.
And so if they're still using that assistive device and it's still considerable and taxing effort to leave the home,
Hmm.
they're still deemed homebound. But you're totally right. A lot of agencies will say, we're discharging this patient.
Did you know? Because I had we did a few appeals, because if you don't give my patients the visits, I will fight. I will fight you.
We need more of you.
Yeah, definitely. And I get the Indian side of me. I'm like, yeah. And so I realized that a lot of people, when you're doing the one-on-one, what do you call it? The one-on-one call, with the therapist is talking to the insurance to request for more
Mm-hmm.
visits, justifying their notes, which is already very much in detail.
Mm-hmm.
You know how much we love to do our notes. But I'm on call, and later on, someone from the building told me that, Bhavna, you're supposed to, like, most of the people who are talking to you are not even physical therapists.
Totally true.
They're just people who work for the insurance. How would a person who is not qualified to understand PT and what level of independence means would be in a position to give the patient visits?
I was just talking yesterday to one of our really good physical therapists, and he works for us and he works for two other companies too. And he was saying, Zach, I just want to work with you guys. I really like working with you
Mhm.
guys. And I said, hey, man, thank you so much for the positive words. Can you tell me what you like about our company so that we can have other people enjoy these things, right? So that we know what is a positive thing and we can kind of lean into that. And one of the things he said was how we do our reporting with the agency. So after the therapist sees the patient, they report to the agency their findings and the frequency duration they want to see the patient. He said a lot of the other companies will have them like report it to their office staff, and then the office staff will contact the agency staff and tell them the report. And he's like, the other companies, it's taken like 2 weeks to get off, or the patients are falling through the cracks. Versus when I, the PT, give my report directly to the
Yeah.
agency, I get the offs faster, patient doesn't get fallen through the cracks, I'm able to see them. And I said, in the end of the day, I'm sure those other offices, I'm sure they have great office staff, but they're not a physical therapist. So when that agency says, why should we give you 8 visits? I think the patient only needs 6 visits. You are a PT who can say, because of this functional limitation, or this range of motion, or this manual muscle test, or this Tonetti objective standardized test, the patient needs the 8 visits. And so when you're able to have that communication, because you are a therapist, you're more likely to get those visits approved. And you're totally right. Who's working at the insurance? It's not a PT.
Yeah, because when I speak, I'll use all the terminologies from that
Yeah.
I've learned for years. Because I will. You want to talk technical? I'll get technical with you, and I will make sure. So you know what the funny part is? The appeals that I've done, I think, out of that, 50% of the appeals we got approved because they spoke to me, and I I can get on their nerves sometimes. So we got the visits, but they just wanted us to send in the notes again because it was misplaced
Mhm.
apparently on their end, or they didn't have the right. Yeah, yeah.
You said it was misplaced on
I
their end?
mean, they gave us the wrong fax number,
Okay.
and they said that that fax number is not working anymore, so they gave us the correct one, something like that.
Yeah.
So, and yeah, so the front desk told me it was misplaced by them. That's the information I know. But then the 50%, the other 50%, we got to know that I did my one-on-one peer-to-peer communication or whatever, the
Mhm.
peer-to-peer thing. I did it right before I go to my break because I see my patients. I go to my lunch at around 1. So during lunch, actually, I'll be on calls just talking to the insurances, and I'm talking to them around 1, and we get an email from them by 5 p.m. saying that they denied it already at 8 a.m. in the morning. Then why would you have a peer-to-peer with me?
Oh, they did. They denied it the morning you were
Yes,
already scheduled for this
they,
call. Oh my
they
God.
denied it. They're still doing the peer-to-peer,
Yeah.
and they're just asking us for more notes, more and more
Mhm.
case notes. Uh, and then they're sending us the confirm like the letter saying that it's been denied. So, and they wouldn't give us the call reference number. Like I trained. I like to get the technique. I told you I have the business in me. So I'll be like, give me your
Yeah.
name, give me your email,
Yeah.
give me your call reference ID number, everything. So they'll tell me that they're not allowed to give us the call reference ID or something. I'm like, no, that's not done. That means there's something shady or there's
Uh-huh.
something not right. You know what I mean? And you are a legit insurance company. So it was just very disturbing.
Yeah. When it comes down to these appeals, it's not easy, right? Because
Yeah.
we can do everything that we should be doing for our patients. And that's what I say when therapists are like, I'm new to home health. How many visits should I ask for XYZ diagnosis? And I always say, ask for whatever you think the patient needs, because we
Right.
got to do the best we can for the patients, right? And
Correct.
then the agency will be the one to say like, oh, we're not approving that many visits. Okay, I understand, but I did my part. I asked for what I thought my patient needed. That was uh, my requirement, right, to help my patient. So
Correct.
we can do everything that we can do. You can document really well. You can do your appeal call.
Yeah.
In the end of the day, we can only do everything we can do, and then
Yeah.
it's unfortunately some stuff's out of our hands. It's just the truth.
I'm learning that. I'm learning
It
that the hard.
hurts. It hurts
Yeah.
because you're passionate, right? You want to help people.
Yeah.
You want to help your patients. And so to hear that we have to discharge them or they're not getting authorization and we think they need it, it
Yeah.
hurts.
So, well, I'm learning this that when they're not when we get a feeling that they're not ready to give us any more visits or they're ready to deny us, we request for maybe 1 or 2 last sessions just as a wrap up or home exercise program.
Mm-hmm.
So at least we're not leaving the patients high and dry. We're at least telling them, okay, I won't be continuing, but this is what you do and this is what you don't do.
Mm-hmm.
So I've started to introduce a lot of home exercise therapy and home exercise programs, and I'm really getting like those diagrams and the videos for my patients. So at least if I am not there, they can do something. Something is better than nothing.
Absolutely. And if they don't do something,
Yeah.
what do we see them in 2 months, right? They come
Yeah.
back.
Yes.
Our,
We get the
the
reference.
frequent flyers.
100%. Yeah, I'm learning that the difficult way, but it's a good learning process.
Of course. And that's what experience is, right? You have to learn. It takes time. And, I think you're doing everything great.
Yeah, I think so.
Absolutely. I mean, the most important thing is you're fighting for your
Yeah,
patients. You're doing everything you can to get the patients what they deserve. that's the most important core thing, right? Like you have to have that deep inside of you. You have to have empathy. You have to have compassion. You want to do what's best for your patient. If you have that first, you can learn all the other stuff, but it's impossible to know all the other stuff and learn compassion and learn empathy and care about your patient. If you don't have that deep inside you, you can't learn that, is my
Yeah,
opinion.
yeah, 100%. Like you mentioned, that in California, how much is the per hour patients, or how much is the total patients that in an outpatient setting that you usually see, or it's, there's a
Like the
range?
outpatient
Yeah,
rates,
yeah,
all
not rates, but the
salary
range of, no,
range.
no, no, the number of patients.
Oh, that people see in a clinic,
Yeah,
it probably ranges from what clinic you're at. The one I was at, I would see up to 20 patients a day.
right,
I don't think that's that abnormal out here.
right.
Um, I'm sure like cash practices, they probably are one-on-one for an. I've paid cash for cash practices. I've hurt myself. I've gone to a cash
Yeah,
practice, one-on-one treatment, 1 hour. So I don't know, maybe they're doing 8 in a day, and I know that one wasn't full schedule. They weren't completely full. Versus these insurance ones, you want to keep the lights on. I think they have to do this high volume.
yeah.
So there may be some that are doing more than 20. There probably are, but that was just my experience.
Definitely. I think in New York, the range per therapist is 24 to
Oh
28. Yeah.
my God. It's
24
crazy.
daily, 24
In an eight
plus.
hour shift?
Yeah.
Oh my
20.
God.
Now we've updated to 28, 29. But if there are two therapists, then last week we touched 36, 37 with two therapists.
So like 18 a person
Mhm.
in 8 hours. Do you have aides?
We do have one aid.
One aide for both of you.
Yes. Yes.
I mean, it's crazy. I
Mhm.
would have, like I said, I liked the practice I worked at. I think it was a good practice for the patients, and I liked
Right.
everyone there. For me, I wasn't getting compensated and everything the way that I would want to if I'm seeing
Definitely.
20 patients a day. But it was a good practice in that, like, my patients would be there an hour and a half. So I would have 5 patients there at a time, and I had my own dedicated aide, and he would be running. God bless him. He'd be running patient to patient, doing exercises, heat, bike, e-stim, ice, and then I'd have like 15 minutes manual therapy, maybe 20 minutes for an eval of one-on-one time before I passed it off. I mean, it was hectic
Yeah.
to have one aide for 2 of you doing nearly the same volume. I mean, that's crazy.
Yeah.
But I
I.
guess that's what's happening in New York, according to you.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? I don't really know a lot of people out there. I do know a PTA who just opened his own practice in New York, and he charges $400 a visit. So PTA charges
Really?
$400 a visit. Uh, So there is a market for that. And for somebody who doesn't want to be one of 18 in a day, if
Wow.
they have the background or the money, they're going to go to that practice where they get the one-on-one, I guess.
Oh yeah, 100%. That's I did not know that. But is it home health or
No,
just
he just opened up a outpatient practice, all cash based.
oh really? I need to go visit. I want to go.
I'll connect you guys after this.
You get me excited. Well, what's your intake on workers' comp?
What do you mean?
Workers' compensation. What do you see patients with workers' compensation?
I was like, of course we have workers' comp for our employees. For workers' comp, uh, so my first job was actually in workers' comp. So I got my dream job offered. I worked at this awesome outpatient clinic out here where it's all, NBA, NFL, actor, professional snowboarders. Everyone went to this clinic. It's awesome. I got my first job offer there. And then I got a job offer as the director of a workers' comp clinic with no experience. And I think it was like $15,000 more. And I didn't take my dream job. I took the workers' comp position. Because you get it. You come out of PT school, it cost a lot of money. You didn't make money for 7 years.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the time, you got to go where the money is.
Definitely.
And my experience was, unfortunately, the global experience of a lot of them, in my opinion, were faking it, if I'm being honest. Yeah. I worked for a major national workers' comp clinic, and their policy was like, what would happen is we'd have a 9 a.m. patient that didn't show, so we marked no show, and then they just show up at 3 p.m. and they're like, hey, Zach, your 9 o'clock patient's here. And I'm like, well, I got 3 other patients here. The 9 o'clock is 6 hours late. And they're like, it's cool, go ahead and take them. So that was kind of my experience. I lasted, I don't know, 3, maybe 6 months, something like that. And I left and I went to that outpatient practice. I had a bad experience in the workers' comp space. And maybe others have better experiences, but that was mine. I also worked in San Francisco on one of my 6-week internships at a workers' comp clinic. And I'll never forget the clinical instructor. God, he must have been almost 90 years old. He'd been doing workers' comp for decades, and he was super knowledgeable at it. And he would point out, he had all these like tricks, and I was like, he just removed gravity, and this guy can all of a sudden do this thing that he like should not be able to do if it's a real injury. And like, he had the eye for spotting these kind of things. So
definitely,
I don't know. I found that it was not for me, I'll say, but maybe it's for others.
We don't see any workers' comp patients in home health, right?
We can. So we have like a couple workers' comp agencies. There's actually a national branch. I think we're with like 6 of their offices.
Right.
Those are typically a very different workers' comp than like the ones I was seeing at that clinic. Even at that dream job that I had, we had workers' comp patients there. It's very crazy to think, but when you see an NBA player, that's a workers' comp patient. Mm-hmm. Most people don't think about that, but that's a workers' comp patient. So it kind of depended on the clinic. The like national clinics just for workers' comp people, that's where I was working, and it just was not for me.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I see your intake, and with your experience, I can like connect with what you're saying, mm-hmm. And it's really I like talking it out, and especially with someone who has the knowledge to talk about these things. Yeah,
and like I said, like same with you. You care about your patients. Mm-hmm. You care about your time. So if you have somebody who doesn't really need the therapy or doesn't really want the therapy and is just showing up because they got to do it for whatever reason, it doesn't really make you feel good, right? Like, oh, I went to school for 7 years to help somebody come in 6 hours after their appointment who doesn't really want to be here and isn't really that injured, versus like going into in-home health. I found tremendous, like the way that I felt great after I saw a patient, right? Like I really helped this lady. Like I changed her life. That makes you feel good. That makes the 7 years feel like it was worth it, right? So, and I know you have that in you too, the way you're fighting for your patients and to get them insurance. If you have that inside of you, you want to genuinely help these people, and you need to be with a population that wants to be helped.
Yeah, definitely. Home health, the number of patients I came across, every one of them needed therapy very bad.
Very bad.
Yeah, I agree with you. Well, you have any last words for everyone who's watching?
Yeah, I mean, like you had mentioned, you don't need to have the 2 years if you want to go into home health. I found it a incredibly rewarding sector of therapy where you can really help patients and you can actually make a lot of money and have flexibility of schedule, have the time to really create the life you deserve. So that's why I was drawn to home health. That's why I'm an advocate of home health. If anyone is interested in my educational company, it's called Home Health Leaders. We have a free Facebook group, Home Health Leaders, you can search. And then, of course, we have my program. I was talking about the Home Health Accelerator. If you're interested, you can just DM me or message me on Facebook. My Instagram is Zach Pevnick PT, and I'd love to talk to you about it.
Thank you, and congratulations for getting the approval just yesterday.
Thank you.
I'm so excited. It's going to be awesome. And I have a few ideas. Let me connect with you
Yeah,
after
absolutely. Please do.
We'll there are so many people who need you and who need people like you out there. And if you educate one person, that one person can educate it. They can just keep the legacy going on. They can educate more and more. And that's how you have to grow. And I have never come across anyone who is in education for home health. So you are doing a fabulous job. Thank you so much for taking the time out to speak with me today.
Thank you so much for having me. This was fun.
Yeah, this was really good. Thank you. Well, have a good night.
Thank you. Bye.
Okay, bye-bye. Take care. Bye. Thank you for listening to our talk about health. You can follow me on Instagram at bhavna.devnani, on Facebook at bhavna devnani, and we'll leave all the information in the description below. Thank you.